The following is a Thorf TV production brought to you in cooperation with Jack Thorfinson, part of our YouTube Friendly series. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for tea. Yes, it's tea time with Jack and Mr. H. Let's have a big round of applause for Jack Thorfinson and Mr. Holster. Mr. Holster is going to have tea. But that'll curdle when it hits. That guy's the big... Oh, Mr. Holster, that's me. Hi, Jack. Howdy, pards. It's me, Mr. Holster. Gee, Jack. Where's our tea, Jack? What? You made me a root beer float. Aw. Now that's a good idea. It's warm today, yeah. I think I'll enjoy that. Nice little change. Although the tea last week was absolutely fantastic, Jack. But we'll try the root beer float and see how it is. I haven't had one in years, Jack. Well, let's get this show on the road. Hey, look at that, the top. We better drink it down so we can pop the top on this one, as Machine Gun Kelly would say. To the sunny slopes of long ago. Oh my. That doesn't cool you down and heat you up all the same time there, Jack. Root beer float, that's good. Good wholesome drink. Just have a little more. When I was a kid, Jack, I could never get my fill of root beer. That's good. Let's just pour a little more root beer in there. Yeah, get it back up to the top. Can't fly in one sip of root beer, can you? I tell you guys, I've had some complaints about my camera. And so if the picture's a little fuzzy and I'm a little out of focus, don't worry about it. Everything looks that way, Mr. Holster. Went down to the cities this week to visit my mother-in-law, and she's just an incredible woman. 86 years old and does not need glasses. Now she just drinks right out of the bottle. But I really shouldn't make fun of my mother-in-law because she is attached to that machine that keeps her alive. Yeah, the refrigerator. And I'm not saying my mother-in-law is a bad cook or anything, but after each meal you have at her house, that's when you pray. So we sat down there, we had a nice meal, and last Christmas my wife and I gave her a pressure cooker for Christmas. So now when we go down there, we eat every meal off the ceiling. And the only last thing I can think of to question her cooking skills is the meal we had down there. And I'll ask you, is meatloaf supposed to glow in the dark? What's that, Jack? Okay, Jack says to get on with the show. All right, Jack, it's your world, and I'm just happy to live in it, buddy. Yeah, you're the best. Especially when you made this root beer float is just absolutely delicious. I can't understand why I haven't had root beer floats in decades, Jack. I should have been drinking them all along. I don't really remember them being this good, though. There's something extra in here, isn't it? Something extra you added. You just have the ability to take just a normal, everyday beverage and turn it into something special, Jack. Oh, I do think the straws. Well, this is what we're talking about tonight, guys. We're going to look at a Glock 19. I happened to find one. And we're going to look at the Sig Sauer, in this case the P250, which I can't put a link to it because it's not out there yet, but this is a gun we're shooting this weekend at the range, the hard target range. But I wanted to compare them because the Sig 250, and we'll start there talking about the Sig 250. The Sig 250, this one happens to be a 9mm. Sig 250 is, if you look at it, it looks just like a Sig 320, and there's a good reason for it. The Sig 250 was really quite an ingenious gun and well designed. It kind of came long after its time. It probably would have sold well if it would have come out in the early 90s, back when all the law enforcement agencies were, well, not all of them, but a lot of them were going to double action only semi-automatics, because it was an easy transition from a revolver to one of these, because this is basically a square revolver. Yeah. This is the square revolver, and it's got a double action trigger pull just like that of a revolver all the way through. Long, hard trigger pull. And that is long. And there you go. But the upside on that is every trigger pull is the same, and you have a second stripe capability without manipulating the slide and losing that chambered round. You can take that second strike capability, take another whack at it to see if it works, which, yeah, it's kind of nice, but it's not really the end of the world or the biggest deal in the world. You might want to just get, if it didn't go off the first time, you might want to just get it out of the chamber and get a new one in there, I say. But a very nice shooting gun, I will say. And what happened is, nicely designed, a very nice gun, but and quite unique in that most of the double action only guns back in the day were heavier. This is a lighter trigger pull than the ones in the day. A little lighter and a little shorter. So it's actually not a bad trigger pull, but it was a hard sell. And although it was an ingenious gun when it came out, everybody was excited about it because it had the removable. You have the ability to remove the serialized component here and put a new plastic grip frame on it, just like the P320, because this is basically a P320 in a double action only hammer fired version. What happened was it didn't sell, so they were stuck with all this tooling and the setup they did to make these, and they're looking at abandoning the gun because it's just not selling. And somebody had the bright idea, some engineer at Sig had the bright idea to turn this into a striker-fired gun. And they designed a striker-fired unit that would fit right in the slide as it was machined out. And, yeah, the rest is history. The P320 was born as a striker-fire to compete with the Glocks, and they competed real well because they won that contract, yeah. The big military contract. So I thought I'd get this out today so we can compare the Sig, because this is the same plastic frame as a P320. They're using the same slide, same barrel. It's basically the same gun. They've just changed out, instead of a hammer fired, they've put in a striker fired mechanism inside the slide there. And it's pretty much the same gun. Now, they've made some modifications here with the little snafu they had with this trigger, and they've gone to a lighter trigger to keep it from discharging if you accidentally drop it. But absolutely, you talk about taking lemons and making lemonade, but this is no lemon. This is a really nicely designed gun. The problem is there's very few Mr. Holsters out there that are old revolver guys. At this point, the majority of people out there that have firearms have very little experience with the revolvers. Yeah, it's a total reverse. So there aren't very many people like me out there that want this gun. But this is a great gun, and of course I got this gun for my wife because I thought it was a good thing for her, a good gun for her to use, because she's had a revolver, and I'm transitioning into something a little. So it was a good choice. Yeah, it's worked well for her. She likes it and she's happy with it. And I picked it up on a good deal because they were closing them out because they found this in their inventory in the basement, and they hadn't made it in several years. Good year, at any rate. So I picked it up at a good price, and it's got the Sig night sights on it, which is a must if you're going to use it at night. And it really has worked out well. But this gun because of the frame and the slide being the same as the P320, which I do not have one of. Yeah, because I've got a Glock, I don't need it. Yeah. And I'm not that's not a dig on the Sig. I have a Glock already, and I'm not going to switch. Yeah. I've done extensive training on the Glock 23 and 19, and I'm not going to switch. But we got one here. We can compare the two, and this is basically the same. It is the same. It's the same size and basically the same gun, except for the striker fire mechanism versus the hammer, which we're not going to talk about. So there you go. So let's start by comparing the two on the size. Here's my Glock 19. Take the magazine out of that thing. And we can compare the size, and as you can see, they really are fairly identical. And I think Sig, in this case, really gets a bad rap. For one of the objections to the Sig is, of course, it is a little wider gun than the Glock, but it's got a higher bore axis. But let's look at it. I'll put the Glock 19 on this side, and you can look at it and see that it's higher, but it's marginally higher. We're talking 1/8 of an inch probably. It's less than 1/4 of an inch. And all Sigs are high like that. For some reason, Sig just has this fixation about making everything tall. Yeah, that's kind of their thing. So it does have a little higher bore axis, but very little, not enough to really make that big a difference. But that is one objection everybody always has. The things I object, well, I won't say object, but the things I will notice right now that are differences between this Glock. Of course, this is a Gen 3 Glock 19, and this firearm, when you look at them, this one's considerably wider. It's a little bit wider in the slide and frame, but what makes it considerably wider is the takedown lever. Yeah, the takedown lever is huge on this side versus Glock was smart when they made this and put an indentation and tabs for a takedown lever. So it puts that totally within the frame, inside of the frame. And you don't add any extra space or width onto the firearm that way. To me, that's a real positive. The positive on this, of course, now they've changed it, and I haven't seen what they've come up with, really. I like this trigger, not the trigger pull, although I like this trigger pull because I'm an old revolver guy, but the trigger itself I like considerably better than the Glock with the little doohickey thing in the center. But they've changed this now, and I have yet to see one up close and personal and pull the trigger to see what it's like. So, this does have a double as an ambidextrous dual slide stop, and because of my experience with the Ruger American, I kind of immediately have this negative thing about the ambidextrous slide stop. But to be quite honest with you, I've shot this gun, and we've had it quite a while, and it's my wife's gun, and I didn't realize that till right before I did this video. Didn't even notice it. So, yeah, it's functioning perfect, unlike my Ruger American, which was a real... Yeah, every time you slammed a magazine in, the slide went forward. And it ties back to that. And somebody told me at a gun shop they've made a change in the gun so it doesn't do that anymore, but I find it highly doubtful. I think the guy was full of it just trying to sell me a gun. But this has not done that. And I was slamming magazines in it the other day, and no, it didn't do a thing. So maybe my initial reaction to the Gen 5, that's my negative on the Gen 5, is that was not called for. I don't know. But that's really the only real difference I see between these two, other than, and a lot of people, most people don't like the Glock proprietary rail on the front, and I do like it because it doesn't really change the profile of the gun at all. It's still smooth and slick, so I like it. But A lot of people are really hung up on it being a Picatinny, 1913 Picatinny rail, which is what this has, which is my real big objection to this gun, is all this, because I have no desire to hang anything on these guns. So when you put that on and I have no choice but to take it, I don't like it because there's all this crap here that doesn't need to be there for me. That's my big objection to this gun, or a P320, is the Picatinny rail, the 1913 Picatinny rail slapped on the front of this grip frame. I was going to say receiver, but you can't because the receiver's inside of there and comes out. So there you go, kind of a quick comparison. The size is pretty identical to one another, a little higher borax. Front to back, top to bottom is pretty the same. One thing I will say that is nice on this gun, and I don't like it on the Gen 5 Glocks, is the magazine has, you have indentations in the grip frame on the sides, so if you have a problem with the magazine, you can rip it. I'm trying to get my hand out of the way so you can see it. You can rip that magazine out, right? You can grab the floor plate and rip it out, where on the Glock 19, they don't have that. Of course, I have PMags in here, so, and PMags have an indentation and give me that same thing. That's one of the reasons I like the PMags. But the new Glocks, the Gen 5s, have indentations right here. So you can rip the mag this way, which to me is no, because my magazine comes in like this and goes out like that. I'm used to that, so if it's not coming out, that's what I'm going to do to rip it out. I'm not going to go like this. So, and all that does is also put a big opening here where this lower finger goes over, so I don't like that. Thought I'd mention that. There you go, guys. That's 16 minutes and 50 seconds of your life you'll never ever get back again, listening to Mr. Holster babble about the Sig P250 320 and the Glock 19, which of course is my main, EDC, if you have it, whatever, main firearm that's backed up in my system, which that's what we're going to talk about next week, is a system, in case you're interested. Here on Tea Time with Mr. H and Jack. How'd I do, Jack? All right? Are you awake still? Did I at least keep you from falling asleep tonight? Yeah. He's been kind of depressed since he got back from deployment. He told me the other night that he was out with a gal, and he just his mind was wandering to other things. He just had no interest in being there. I'm very concerned, frankly. And why is it, Jack? Huh? What is wrong, Jack? By the way, I got your jumpsuit all cleaned up. He came in, you should have seen it. Oh, it was so sweet. Playing overhead. I didn't even know you could jump out of a Chinook, Jack. Boy, those things are big. The props on those Chinooks, they're as big as the barn out there. They're 90 feet long, each one of them, from side to side. Is that long? Wide. Wide. And diameter, they're 90 feet. They're as wide as the barn out there. It was really impressive, Jack. That thing came over and hovered, and out you came and parachuted, and you came down in a figure eight. It was so cool. But he landed right in the cattle pen. And it's been like 50 degrees for the last week, and let me tell you, that was a big mistake with a white jumpsuit. Yeah, that was, Jack, and I tried, I couldn't get it clean. I'm sorry. It's got these green spots all over it. Look at it this way. It's almost like it's camouflaged. Right? Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Jack. I tried. Well, there you go, guys. There's Tea Time with Jack and Mr. H. And it only took, well, it's almost 20 minutes of your life. You'll never, ever, ever get back again. Till next time, from Mr. Holster and Jack, go out and stay safe. I tried, Jack. I tried.